Good morning. It is cold today, and you're probably going to hear me say that a lot because I don't necessarily like the cold. I think it got down to 22 last night here, and right now it's barely 40. And I've put off milking as long as I can, and I gotta go do it in the cold. So I'm gonna get these goats fed, chickens fed, Faith milked, and we'll see how the rest of the day goes. Do you ever walk outside and see an animal sleeping and it like absolutely makes your heart sink and you freak out thinking something's wrong? Hey, what are you doing? Are you sleeping in the sunshine? Do you want to eat? Huh? Do you want to eat your food? Come on, we're gonna eat. She can't be bothered. Did I wake you up, princess? Hi. Good morning to you. Would you like some food too? Huh? I know you would. You're always down for food. She usually can't be bothered. This is the old girl of the group. It's so fluffy. This is our first year homesteading. We had chickens before. We attempted to grow a garden before, but when I say it's our first year homesteading, it's our first year of raising or attempting to raise the majority of all of our food. Now, the biggest thing with homesteading is do your research. Number one, you always have to research anything you're going into, whether it's an animal, something you're growing, where you're placing your garden. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. But don't get so caught up on the research that, oh, I'll never be able to obtain this perfect garden or these perfect animals, or I might fall short, or I might not make the mark. You're not going to. I don't want to burst your bubble. But what you're gonna gain is knowledge and experience, and you cannot get that from a textbook. Sometimes all you can do is research, and at the end of the day, you just gotta go for it. And know that you might fail, but that's okay, because with failure comes learning, and that is priceless. All right, it's starting to warm up. I can ditch my winter coat because I'm the chicken. Well, Faith is finishing up her breakfast. I'm gonna go check on these little sweet bunnies. Look at him. He's sleeping in there in the sunshine. Doing good. They're so sweet. I love having rabbits. This is ridiculous. This is what they do when they come out. Look. Get out of here. Go. 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 You don't need to be in here. Our egg production has slowed down drastically since it's been cold. Feeding the rabbits some turnip tops, which I've been trying to forage and give them scraps from the garden a lot more to cut down on the feed bill. And rabbits don't eat a diet 100% filled with grain, so the more things I can give them is closer to their natural diet, I feel the healthier they will be. This is the girl that was sleeping the beginning of this video. As you can see, she's just fine. She's had her meal. She's drank some water. She's chased the chickens. right, let's see how this greenhouse looks. Oh, it's looking good. It's only 70 degrees. Everything is happy, it looks like. It did get down to 22 last night, so it was pretty cold, but it looks like it didn't get too cold in here because everything looks really good. All my starts still look good. I had no idea whether or not this was going to work. I didn't know if it was going to stay warm enough or maybe get too warm because these are a lot of cool weather crops. It also looks like some bugs are getting my greens, so I've been watching out for that. But I figured I had the space, I had the greenhouse and the compost, so why not? Anything I get out of here, I'm looking at as an added bonus. I am going to keep that closed because I want to keep some of that heat in. It's about 1 o'clock and it's not even 70 degrees in there, so I think if I can lock in some of that heat when it gets real cold at night, it'll stay warm. The biggest thing that has been trial and error for us this year is the garden. We not only took on a large garden and the goal of feeding our family from the garden, but we also decided to make an income off of that and turn it into a business. So this last season, I should say, we sold herbs. We focused specifically on herbs because nobody really did that there, so we thought that was a good niche, and it really was. I mean, what we did do, we were, I think, successful at. It wasn't enough to make a full-time income, but it was our first year, so you have to take a lot of that into consideration. But we wouldn't have known if we hadn't tried, and that's where I keep saying it's all trial and error. You don't know until you try. You don't know that it's going to be successful or not until you really give it a go. Now, I had people telling me, don't plant radishes. It's too late. They're not going to make it. They're all going to die. We've been pulling radishes out of here, and they've been so good. So I'm really glad I just went for it and gave it a try, because if I hadn't, I don't know. The radishes to me are so much fun. The kids love them. They love picking them. It's an exciting thing. They grow super quick. It's one of those things that I know I'm good at, so it makes me feel confident. Now, over there, where I just showed you the radishes, they're growing awesome. But that's because I learned from my error of before, and I applied some more research to over there, and I'm being more successful. So I'll show you what I mean by that. See these guys? Not doing the greatest. I actually think I planted these before the other ones, and they're just not growing over here. And I stopped kind of focusing on this bed because it wasn't doing very well. It's growing carrots and beets awesome, but it's not growing radishes. And here's what I think made the difference. In that bed I just showed you over there with all the radishes, I laid down blood meal, I laid down dolomite, and I laid down another product called azolamite, and that's made from volcanic ash. It has lots of potassium, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium in it. And the dolomite has, I believe, magnesium, calcium, and lime in it. And by adding that extra step with those two things plus the blood meal, they're growing faster and they're healthier plants. Whereas over here in this bed, the beets are growing, but they're really small. And I just wonder if I had added that extra boost of nutrition, they should be bigger by now. I planted them quite a few months ago. So the carrots seem to be doing okay with just the compost, so I'm really thankful for that. But that was a trial and error. I wouldn't have known unless I tried. And I learn best by trying. So I know now every single time my beds are going to be prepped the same way. And I've also learned in research since, you know, from one bed to another, I've read an article or I've done more research that has given me a better way or something to add to the way that I'm doing it. Thing to talk about is varieties, because you can get really overwhelmed with varieties, and I know I have, especially like tomatoes and radishes and kales. There's so many different ones, and you also have to pay attention to what grows well in your climate, because certain varieties are a little more cold hardy than others. So you've got to see your zone and what grows well. But I mean, we see so many beautiful varieties of tomatoes and you want to grow them all, but I don't think that's wise. I feel like for me, it would have been better if I had just focused on maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, picked a number instead of doing all these different plants, because I didn't know what was what. I had ones that didn't grow well, and I don't know if it's because I just was not experienced or they just didn't do well in my zone and my climate and my soil. That was a trial and error I had to learn kind of the hard way, was pay attention to my varieties. Don't get too zealous in what you're ordering. In what I was ordering, I need to pick a few and stick to that variety. I don't have anything to harvest with. It's frustrating. One of the downfalls I will say about this entire property and the way that we set it up, which this wasn't our fault, we had no way around it, is that the garden is not close to the house. So it's not really convenient to just run to the garden. I have to load everybody up, get on the ATV or the side-by-side, and go. When I forget something, it's a process to go get it. So I'm just gonna make it work. I am harvesting some parsley for a best friend, and we're having Thanksgiving dinner at church tonight, so she needs some parsley for what she's bringing. So I'm happy to share the bounty of parsley I had this year. Actually, parsley was one I didn't think was gonna grow well. I had read that it can be finicky, and man, did it do so well. It survived the heat. It survived the freeze last night. It got down to 22, and I mean, look, it's as green and happy as the day I planted it. Some of it's yellowed, but most of it looks really good. So parsley's a winner. But overall, everything looks awesome. Considering it got so cold. I mean, we had frost on the grass, so it definitely froze. All of my chard looks really good. I actually just pruned all this back and gave it to the animals, so it's looking a little small. Some of my starts didn't make it, but I planted cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbage here. So those are looking okay. Some of them look like they're not gonna make it, but they were really small, and they were really small starts. I should have waited, but we're like done with the warm weather. It's gonna be cold from here on out, and I was afraid if I waited until it was too cold, it would have shocked them and they wouldn't have survived anyway, going from the greenhouse, which is warm, to the cold field. So I figured I would give it a try. We'll see if that trial or error worked. I don't know. So what I'm going to do real quick is just, I've been coming out here and picking like clover and greens, kind of just stuff that we consider weeds, and I've been feeding it to our rabbits. It's not only supplementing our feed bill, which is great, but best of all, it's giving them the best food possible. It's what nature designed them to eat. They didn't design them to eat bunny kibble or grains like we buy for them. So I've just been coming out here anytime I'm in the garden and just picking and foraging and bringing them herbs, and they seem to really be loving it. But if I can leave you with anything with this video, it would be, don't be afraid to try. Homesteading is all about trying and learning, and if you don't want to try, you don't want to learn, then I don't know if homesteading is going to be right for you. We've never done anything like this before, especially on this big of a scale. I've never had goats. I've never had a huge garden. I've only really ever had chickens, and I had some rabbits as a pet as a kid. So if that doesn't go to show you that you can do it, I don't know what, because I feel like if I can do it, anyone out there watching can do it. We have been really successful in a lot of ways as far as first year homesteading goes, but we also have not been successful in a lot, and I did not do a good job showing you a lot of the garden along the way because I myself got really overwhelmed. This all goes back to pick a few varieties and do them well, not don't pick a bunch and don't do them very well. But I want you to be encouraged to just go ahead and try. Go ahead and try. Try that new variety of tomato. Try, you know, getting an animal that you've always wanted. Try it, because you don't know unless you try it. And what, you're gonna fail? Failure is just another learning opportunity. So even if you do fail, it's a win because you've learned something and you know how to do it better the next time. So I hope you found this video encouraging. I hope you found it helpful. And I'm excited to bring you all along on our journey and to hear about everybody else's journey. And I will definitely see you on the next video. Have a blessed day. Listen, lady. That's not for you.